By the way, we have had a war with Canada.
Yes. Well, they were part of the War of 1812.
And they kicked our ass for a while, too.
The British kicked our ass,
on
not
horses.
The Canadians.
Huh?
Right? The British kicked our ass, not the Canadians.
No, they may have been Canadian Brits.
It was the British.
We got our asses handed to us by a bunch of Mounties.
They burned down the White House.
See?
Yeah.
In New York.
No, in Washington, D.C.
Because originally the capital was here.
That's true, but the White House was in Washington, D.C.
There have been three capitals.
Yes, New York, Philly, and D.C. Yes.
Philly, and then ultimately, I don't know why, we settled on D.C. I think because it was close.
Do you want to know why?
I think it was close to...
do you want to know why?
Do you know why?
Of course.
Okay, so first, the capital of this country was here.
Right.
Then it moved a little south to Philadelphia.
Right.
Because that's where Ben Franklin was hanging out. There's a lot of... big time, like Voltaire-type thinkers.
Right.
And thinking going on.
Okay.
And then it went to D.C.
Yes, because...
I've never known why.
Do you want to know
why? We moved the capital to Washington, D.C.
Okay. I'm a loser. Do you want to know why?
Was there a river there with like a lot of commerce going on?
Well, the Potomac is nearby, sure.
Okay, why did we move the capital of this country to D.C.? I truly don't know the answer.
Okay, so... James Madison, James Monroe, Thomas Jefferson, Virginia guys.
That I know.
They wanted their place of work to be close, so they cut a deal, basically with Alexander Hamilton, in which they negotiated a deal that said, let's move the capital down south, let's carve out a piece of Virginia, Maryland, we'll call that the district. So really, let's be honest, it was because it was a nice trip for them. It was convenient.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Did I surmise that quickly for you?
And we did this...
What?
Around what year?
Mid-1790s, I think, is when they agreed to it.
So 20 years after independence, colonies, Stamp Act.
Aren't you glad? Did you want the capital in New York City? Can you imagine if we had to deal with that?
I mean, I always thought the capital was in New York City, essentially.
You want the federal government running out of New York City?
Doesn't the sun shine on our asses?
Well, we are the best, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's what it was. It was convenience for the Virginia...
I think that was a big part of it. It was a negotiation to move the capital down to their land down south, near Virginia, Maryland, carve out the piece of land and make it D.C.
Little carving.
Yeah, little carving. They designed it, and they named it after a fellow by the name of George Washington. You heard of him?
They named what after George Washington?
Washington, D.C.
Is that right?
That is true.
By the way.
How about that?
Wrong guy to be the first president. He was a loser as a general.
Oh, you better stop now.
He was. He had a losing record as a general.
Are you serious now?
100%. He had a losing record as a general.
I understand
so why would you pick
it? Because he was the winning general in the freaking American Revolution, and that's the game that counted. The French and Indian War, those are like exhibition games, okay? The Revolution was the World Series, and he won the World Series.
We picked the guy had a losing record. It's almost like Joe Torre before he started managing the Yankees.
Well, that's a fair analogy.
Picked the wrong guy.
Yeah, but wasn't Joe Torre the right guy for the Yankees?
And then it turned out that he did all right for himself.
So was George Washington the right guy for America?
I don't know that. I don't know.
No, the answer is yes.
He also didn't want to take a salary to be the president.
And he didn't want to be called king.
See that?
And he also left after 2 terms, which was respected by everybody until he jumped up to FDR, who said, I don't care. I'm just going to keep running.
When did we name Washington, D.C. after him? While he was alive or after his death?
I think, you know what?
Probably after he died, right?
I think they may have. That's a good question.
And what was it called before he was called that?
The District of Columbia.
Is that right?
I don't know. Now I'm guessing.
No, because it's Washington, D.C., but anybody know?
One of the callers says, saying that Evan's wrong here.
Okay, let me find out.
I'm sure I got something wrong.
Jeff is in Long Island. Jeff, what do you got, kid?
Hey, Craig, great to hear you back on the radio, brother.
Thank you.
All right, so the reason that Washington was moved to where it's located today is that Alexander Hamilton wanted the assumption plan put in place, which was the federal government would assume all of the debt of the Revolutionary War. And because Madison and Jefferson were strongly opposed to creating a national banking system and assuming all the debt, the deal was cut that they would move the capital for that purpose.
So did it have anything to do with...
You left out the part of why did they want the capital in Washington, D.C. in that area of Virginia, because that was the only part I was explaining.
You covered
so you're adding to it. No, you're right.
Now,
thank you, Jeff.
I would think...
You didn't cover the part about the assumption.
I did not. You're correct.
This is just me as a historian.
Yes.
It had...
He wasn't correcting me. He was adding to my story.
So basically, the northern colonists were going to appease the southern pro-slavery colonists, I imagine, and say, all right, listen, Philadelphia's too far north. We'll give you a little taste of the pie closer to your plantations.
Our whole government is a basic compromise. I mean, think about it. between the way Congress works, between the House of Reps and the Senate. It's one giant compromise. That's what our country is.
Doesn't appear that way.
Well, that was the plan. That was the plan.
By the way, it was called the Residence Act, July 16th, 1790. The nation's capital, current-day Washington, as part of a plan to appease pro-slavery states who feared a northern capital as being too sympathetic to abolitionists. I don't know what that means, but it sounds
I don't know what that means.
Sounds important. And there you go.
Thomas Jefferson wanted his horse ride to work to be a lot shorter.
That's
than
it.
If he went Monticello to D.C., a little bit better than Monticello to New York City
So
or
as long as
Philadelphia.
he has powerful men who are selfish about their own commute.
Yes.
That's all it
No,
was,
I think
right?
that's why I tried to put it that way. He is right, though, about assuming the federal debt, and that was part of Alexander Hamilton, what he
I
wanted.
have a question.
Yes.
And this has long plagued me. Maybe Mac has the answer. He seems like the kind of guy that might know the answer to this one. Do you think the people that invented it on purpose, or it happened and then they're like, wow, this is the greatest thing ever? Popcorn. Do you think like Native Americans just fundamentally knew that corn would pop and taste delicious? Or do you think they threw like a corn husk in a fire one day and like an hour later, pittity pop, 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 and they're like, wow, this tastes delicious. Let's do that again.
No question, accident. No
You think
question.
popcorn was
Absolutely.
an accident?
Absolutely.
Totally agree with him. I
Absolutely.
totally
I
agree
think
with
a
him.
lot of things like that.
So you think
100%.
popcorn was invented on purpose? You think we came about
Well,
it?
go back to Columbus. He discovered America as an accident.
Well, that's different, though.
Why is that different?
No, that's because his boat went the wrong way. That's why they're called Indians.
No,
Right,
His,
no,
boat
it
went,
was
his
India.
boat went the right way. He just hit land before he thought he would.
Exactly.
No, couldn't have gone the right way if
Yeah,
he
it was-
thought he was in India. We're nowhere near India.
He thought he could go around. He didn't realize there'd be a big landmass
Go
called
around
North
what?
America in the middle of in the way.
He didn't know we existed. He didn't know America
He didn't- yeah, there
yeah,
was-
existed.
but India is not dead west of Spain. He went west and hit
Well, it was,
land.
yeah, he was
thinking
looking for the West Indies.
He was a moron.
He was looking for the West
It was
Indies.
but that's the point.
Columbus is the worst explorer of all of them.
Happy accidents. Happy accidents.
But that's why I brought it up. It's a happy accident. Thank you.
Well,
Well,
no,
happy for
Amerigo-
certain
Amerigo
people.
Worked out
Vespucci-
for everybody.
Not happy for everybody,
Amerigo
unfortunately.
Jet or Spence?
No, for the poor people that lived here when Christopher came over.
No, well, listen, right. That changed their
That
lives
wasn't happy
dramatically.
for them.
No.
Chernoff just sent us a very long-winded email. I think he almost like copied and pasted this off Wikipedia. I'm not going to read it, but it's sent to both of you if you want to.
About
take a look
what?
at it.
About
I
what?
don't know. It's first of all, it's FYI is the title of it.
Is
which
it about the
very-
Capitol? We got the
It
story.
says January 1791, George Washington, and then it goes on.
There you go.
No, he's saying that they named D.C. after Washington before he died,
They named,
which I buy because I think we all knew he was a guy.
They named Washington before Washington died.
Correct. It wasn't
I don't
always.
know if that's accurate.
You don't think that's accurate?
No, that
I
doesn't
think-
make sense to me.
Oh, it makes perfect sense. Everybody knew, unlike you, all these years
Like
later.
on his deathbed,
every-
they go, and we're going to name
No.
this piece of land.
Why are you imitating The Godfather?
I'm just saying,
See, I
like,
get that now.
Washington.
Yeah, because they knew he was a god. Everybody knew George
He
Washington
had a
was a
losing
god.
record
Will
as
you
a general.
Stop with that. Joe
He did.
Torre had a loser. I think that analogy was perfect.
Thank you.
No, it was. But that's why you should stop calling him a loser. Do you
And
call
by
Joe
the way,
Torre a loser?
If I may, just very quickly, this grandiose idea that we have as Americans
Yes.
of when Washington crossed the Delaware on that frigid night to defeat the British, and he left that poor guy holding the lantern there, who passed away holding it, so he could find his way back. I have been to that. I think it's called Washington's Crossing. All right? I have been there. First off, the water doesn't go above your knees. All right, number one. Number two, it's no more than maybe 15 yards across.
Why are you trying?
So the image,
What's wrong with you?
the image of G Dub, as his people called him,
Yeah.
up on the thing of the
Right
boat.
now, Craig is standing on his chair. I
Be
hope he
careful,
falls.
There's
I
wheels on
got
that.
it.
No,
I
I
got
hope
it.
he falls, Chris. It'll be
So,
great.
You've got the famous painting.
Yeah, Washington crossing Delaware.
Washington's up. Hold on one second.
Oh, God, he's going to fall. He's going on the table.
Washington's
Should I film
up,
this?
Washington's up on the boat like this. Like, ten-ho! We shall cross the river and take the British while they sleep. Who is with me? And there's like five, colonial soldiers rowing this boat while G-Dub's posing like he's A-Rod in Central Park without a shirt on, right?
Oh, God.
I've been to the spot where he crossed. It's 10 yards across in knee-deep water. Was that really that spectacular?
Can I ask you a question?
And we shall go forth,
Craig.
and we shall take the British while they sleep. 10 ho, men. And the other guy's like, dude, why are we walking?
Nobody said that.
Let's just walk across the river.
Craig, simple question.
Yes?
Why do you hate America?
I love America.
No.
I didn't think we'd be tearing down Washington at 3:12.
I mean,
did not see it
geez,
coming.
You're tearing down our greatest leader.
He was
Even
not
better
our
than that
greatest
guy
leader.
Abe. It's close, but and you're tearing him down. Why do you hate America?
He was not our greatest
leader.
leader.
What makes you get up in the morning? Ooh, Dwight Eisenhower was a war hero.
Washington was not our greatest leader.
Who was our greatest leader?
I don't know that there was a singular greatest leader.
Well, name one. Who's our greatest leader? If it
Ben
wasn't
Franklin, maybe.
Well, Ben Franklin.
Maybe Ben Franklin.
Why was he our greatest leader?
We have light.
He picked the turkey as the national bird.
Picked
on
the turkey.
Thanksgiving.
There you go.
You're going Ben Franklin over
no, I
G-Dubs?
think he picked the eagle.
Oh, was he the one who wanted the eagle and got
I
outvoted?
think he wanted the eagle, yeah. Ben Franklin really ran the show back in the day.
Oh, look,
but he
bald
was a
eagle, not the
womanizer and a drunkard, so
Yeah.
don't want him to be like the man in charge.
He was the elder statesman at the time. George Washington was sterile. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah.
How do you know that he was
Father
sterile?
of our country actually couldn't be a father.
He didn't have any kids?
No. He had
G-Dub had
stepkids.
no kids.
He had stepkids.
Wow.
But he did not have any. He was sterile, unfortunately. But he's our great leader, man.
And there's a
Why
lot
would
of
you
stories
hate-
like that. Like I think Paul Revere rode like 4 miles.
Yes, well, the real story of Paul Revere is a guy named Israel Bissett. And because his name didn't rhyme well,
Right.
the poet that wrote the
Right.
Paul Revere story used Paul Revere, who did ride and did try to alert
Oh,
people.
was that impressive enough for you?
No, because the Israel guy.
No, I know.
He went from like Boston to like North Carolina.
So is it fair to say
Paul
that
Revere
Israel
went from like Boston to like
down the street?
Rhode Island.
Wait, so is it fair to say Paul Revere is Willis Reed and Israel
Yes.
is Paul Clyde
Yes.
Frazier?
That is
Of
correct.
all the analogies we've made, that's the best.
That's the one.
That's correct.
You're welcome.
Paul Revere is the most overrated guy in the history of American history.
Well, that's better than saying George Washington is.
My only point about G-Dub is that he was a losing general.
It doesn't
That's my
matter.
only
Dude,
point.
Most people
got his ass handed
Craig,
to him several times.
Craig, to be a winner, most people have to lose first. Do you understand that? Have you ever lost in your life before you became the
Clearly I
winner
have.
that you are? So then how could you get on GW for losing some battles in the French and Indian
Because
War?
I think we've overstated what he did.
No, we haven't.
He took a boat across 10 feet of
That's
water.
all he did.
And said, let who?
That's all he did.
I mean,
Nah.
in reality, I've read the books.
Let me tell you something.
I've done the research.
He's done a lot of amazing things. I'll tell you the best thing he ever did is he was given immense...
He did something better than be the first president?
He was given... Well, it's not just that. He was given immense power. And he could have abused it. And he could have taken advantage of it. And he could have been a king. And he said no. How many people in the history of the world have the ability to have power like that and have the strength to walk away from it? Think about that answer and get back to me. He is our greatest leader, and you should apologize to the audience for insulting George Washington.
Mark Sanchez thinks it's time for Sam Darnold to go, but I got to tell you the Steve Cohen story. I teased it all day already. So Steve Cohen was asked about Bobby Bonilla, receiving, the $1 million every year for the next gazillion years, right?
Yes.
The whole Wilpon Madoff, your delayed payment thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
By the way, Tommy, where's my lasagna? Did I ask for like a half hour ago?
Yeah, I was going to effort that, but then I had to do a couple
Okay,
things.
can
but
you
I will
just
do that
heat it
now.
up for now 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
And then bring it in, please?
You got
Thank
it.
you. So in any event, someone said to Steve Cohen on Twitter, would you consider just making a lump sum payment so we can be done with the annual Bobby Bonilla story? And Steve Cohen said, I got a better idea. Why don't we have Bobby Bonilla Day every year, and the year that the check is due, give him one of those like Billy Madison or no,
Who are you thinking of?
not Billy Madison, dummy. Come on,
I'm
help me
trying
out.
to catch up with what you even try to get
One of those,
to.
Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore size checks.
Right.
You never saw it. I know.
I did see Happy Gilmore.
Give him one
5
of those
times.
Happy Gilmore size checks. Put him in a convertible. Let him drive around the stadium, and then celebrate Bobby Bonilla Day. Now that is an owner with a sense of humor. That's awesome.
Every day that goes by, Steve Cohen becomes more awesome and more awesome and more awesome. And I'll tell you right now, I hope he's not kidding, Craig. I would go
Wouldn't
to that
be-
day.
Now the question
I would
is,
go to that day.
Would Bob? Hey, Tommy, get me Bobby Bo on the phone.
Call him up.
Would Bobby Bonilla go along with that?
From what I've understood, we've attempted to get Bobby Bonilla on the air a million times, and not even kill him, just talk to him.
Yeah.
He doesn't talk about this kind of
No,
stuff.
he would.
You think he would?
He knows. Tell him.
Do you have a personal relationship with Bobby Bonilla?
I mean, we've talked a few times.
Have you?
Yeah.
What was the conversation about?
He actually has he's figured it out. He's a good place.
Well, that's great for him.
Yeah, because Bobby had a reputation of being an a-hole.
Yeah.
And being really
I'll
tough
show
to
you
interview.
the Bronx.
Yeah, but
Can't
Bobby
get this
and I,
smile off my face.
Bobby and I have been good for a long time. So tell Bobby we want to talk to him.
Have you ever hung out with Bobby? Bob?
I have not. No.
Here's another Craig Carton name
No,
drop.
I didn't name drop. I said I never hung out with the guy.
No, in fairness, I'm kind of picking your brain to see if there is
I
a
have
relationship
never spent any
with Bobby
social
Bonilla.
time with Bobby
You know what
Bonilla.
Bobby Bonilla did I've never seen before? Bobby Bonilla, this was his second stint with the Mets, comes up as a pinch hitter, gets booed. Okay, nothing crazy about that. Lines a base hit to right field. And the crowd boos him as he's coming off the field for a pinch runner. I've never seen anything like it. The guy came up, got a hit, and he's
Right.
still getting booed.
the way it goes.
Remarkable, Craig.
I would love Bobby Bo Day when we present him with that check. That would be awesome.
Would you? I would go to that day every single
Well,
day.
you go to any game.
That's true.
877-337.
You're right.
6666.
Good job calling me out on
What
that.
did Mark Sanchez say about Darnold? What did Bill Parcells say about Joe Judge? What do you have to say? You know the numbers. It's Carton and Roberts on the Fan.